Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Creator Town Hall here on Studio Live. Today, for the next 2 hours, strap in because we're going to talk about a bunch of topics related to creating audio, music, video, GarageBand, iPad, you name it. It's going to be here. And let's get on with the show with a little bit of music. Halfway through, apparently. Professionalism. There you go. Yeah, that was supposed to be queued up and just go and kick straight in there, which it kind of did, but didn't quite get there. First thing I want to say here today is that we're brought to you today by The Gear Guide at studiolivetoday.com/gear. If you're in the market for any budget gear, you can jump on over here. Yeah, studiolivetoday.com/gear. These are all affiliate links, which means if you make a purchase, if you're in the market to buy some gear anyway, you use these links, you make a purchase, they'll break off a little chunk and send it back to me, and that way you are helping support the channel here and keeping the lights on around here at Studio Live today. So I do thank you for that. And speaking of thank yous, can I say a huge thank you to you and all of collectively you, because the channel just passed 90,000 subscribers, which is a little overwhelming, super humbling. I don't get super into the metrics. We'll talk about subscribers in a little bit. It is a vanity metric, but it's an indicator. Yeah, it's not the be all and the end all, but it's an indicator of how things are tracking along here. And if there's when I started out here, if there were 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people that I could help create, record, and release more music, then I wanted to do it. So yeah, the fact that over the last 6 years we've been able to grow a community here of amazing folks, like the folks who are here live and like you if you're watching on the replay, is just awesome and amazing, and I do thank you for it. So I wanted to get that as the first thing that we say here today. So thank you to the folks who are here live. Clipped was here first about 3 hours early, so g'day to you. Hello to Kim in the house. We got Mark Bro. I see Thomas Christ checking on. Then hey, it's Pete Johns. Yeah, I get Jade Star's name wrong when I get into her chat and say hello. So she's just getting her revenge on me there for getting her stuff wrong. We are going to jump in. Like I said, we've got a bunch of different topics to go through here today. The first I'm going to get off is what I've sort of titled the episode, and that is around some budget gear. I did this video, and it's actually got a pretty good reaction so far. A lot of folks have said, yep, I've looked at this gear, and it's actually helped me make a decision on buying some new gear for my home studio. So I pulled this together pretty quickly. It is my 11 bits of gear that I recommend in the home studio. I've linked this one down below, and they're all under $100 because a lot of folks come to me and they're like, I don't want to buy the cheapest, but I don't want to buy the most expensive. I don't have all the money, but I don't want to get ripped off. And this is, we'll talk about this a little bit later. I've got a review of one of Spectre Sound Studios videos where we're going to talk about some of the things that they mention that you need to be careful about when you're buying gear. But all of this gear, so you can see here, we've got all the link. We've got the PreSonus audio box USB interface, the monitor speakers, the Audio-Technica AT2020, Shure SM57. These are all bits of kit that myself and other folks have used in the home studio and are getting good results with. Now, you can go onto Amazon and you can go to AliExpress and you can go to eBay and buy the really cheap stuff. You'll be disappointed. The other side of the coin is if you go and you listen to all the pros, they may tell you, don't buy a PreSonus audio interface. You need a Apollo Twin. If you don't have an Apollo Twin, then you're not going to get good quality audio. Well, that's not really the case in the home studio, especially when you're starting out. So I always equate this to wine. Whenever you're looking at audio gear or whenever you're looking at any sort of quality of gear, the absolute cheapest, you can tell it's cheap. Yeah, it feels cheap, it sounds cheap, it looks cheap. In the case of wine, it tastes cheap. The absolute highest end gear, you're not going to get the benefit of that unless you are really high end. And the same with wine. If you're a wine connoisseur, what do they call them? I can't remember the name, but a wine expert, you're going to tell the difference. For most of us, for most regular wine drinkers, a $20 bottle's about the right spot, yeah? You want to have decent quality without breaking the bank. And it's the same with your audio gear. Yeah, you can buy a $400 microphone. Like you would know that the most popular microphone, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Let's jump over to sweetwater.com who are one of my affiliates that you can get over on the Gear Guide. And if we search for the Shure SM7B, you see this microphone everywhere. Even if you don't know you see it everywhere yet, as soon as you see this $400 microphone, you'll know that you see it on pretty much every podcast. My friend Sarah Newen, who was on the show last week, she uses this microphone. Great microphone. And for her, she's been recording and doing live streaming for years and years. She gets the best out of this microphone. A lot of folks that are brand new to recording, if they've got more money than they have experience, they may buy something like this, not be able to get the good results that they want, and then wonder why they've got this epic microphone and it's not working for them. Whereas really, when they're starting out, they should have actually gone Shure SM58. They should have spent themselves $100 on a microphone that is going to do the job, that is going to give you, and look, people will argue about this, but probably 80% of the quality that you're going to get from an SM7B for your regular average in the home studio kind of recording person. So yeah, just something like the SM58 is going to do the job. SM57, Audio-Technica AT2020. All of these things are going to help you out. So if you haven't checked out that video already, you can jump over and do that. And once again, all the gear that I mentioned there and all the gear that I use here in the home studio is linked over here. You can see there, I've updated it. I haven't actually added any gear since April 2021, so there's nothing to update, but I still do need to return and update this so it's got the most recent date on there. Otherwise, you might think that I'm behind and that I'm lazy. I am, but not related to that. Hello to Epiphonium, who says, Sweetwater, I just spent money there today. Well, yeah, if anyone who's in the future going to spend money at Sweetwater or on Amazon or on Thomann or on eBay, all the links are over there, studiolive today.com/gear. Speaking of last week's show, I did have a guest on the show, and it was Sarah Newen. And Sarah, I was actually on the latest. Sorry, I'm going to the wrong website here. I was on the latest episode of her podcast. So we talked about her new podcast. I've got a different Sarah Newen here. SarahNewenOnline.com is where you want to go. Which, if I can learn to type, newenonline.com. We'll get there. We'll get there, folks. Don't worry. It's Monday morning for me here. So she has a podcast. It is called the Thriving Creator Podcast. And she was kind enough to send me a mug, which is a really nice mug. And look, I've actually learned something from this because she put the logo on both sides. Like, how much smarter is that? I'm definitely going to, my next edition of the Studio Live Today mug, I'll put Sarah Newen. I've not spelled that right at all. There we go. We'll try that one. So the Thriving Creator Podcast, and as I mentioned, I was lucky enough to be on the show last week. So if you want to check out that episode, come over here. Up the top there, you can see there on SarahNewenOnline.com, the Thriving Creator Podcast. And if we come down here, episode 10, where is the one? Should you grow fast or slow on YouTube? I can't actually find it here. Maybe it's not actually here on the blog yet. But if you subscribe, it is the latest episode in your subscription feed. So if you go to your podcast app of choice and search Thriving Creator, then you'll be able to find that. Yeah, exactly, Mark. A mug for lefties. Exactly. Because I use my left hand to drink because I'm using my right hand to mouse about, and I can do that. And as speaking of Mark and folks in Canada, those may have noticed that I do have this year, I've got my Tampa Bay Lightning jersey on. So let's go Bolts. They're my second team in the NHL. So they're my secondary team when the New York Rangers inevitably fail and get knocked out of the competition. Then I turn to them. Hello to Kale. Kale Beeston is here as well. Hello. We've got Bendy Roblox. Is that Roblox? My children love themselves some Roblox. Roblox. Love playing the Roblox. Let's get into some of the topics that we have for this week. Firstly, though, if you do have any questions, we will have some Q&A later in the show. But if you have questions as we go along, do just go ahead and put the word question in front of your comment. I'll be keeping an eye on the comments as we go through and as I rant and rave about various topics. But if you do have a question that you want answered, just put the word question in front of that and you'll be good to go. I have a question to ask. Is anyone else annoyed by this question? How many of you are not subscribed? It's a pain in the butt. And the reason I mention this is that many of my favorite channels in recent times have been asking or have been telling me this at the start. Is it just me, or are you noticing the same sort of thing? So you'll start a video and they'll be like, welcome to the video. Yeah, today we're going to talk about this. And then the second thing they say is, my analytics tell me that 83% of you are not subscribed. Just hit the subscribe button right now and we'll build the best community on the internet. Renee Ritchie says it, a bunch of other channels that I've been listening to. Everyone sort of went, oh, that's a good idea. It must have been some best practice guru that said, tell everyone how few people are subscribed and make that an important thing. So what I thought I'd do is I'll talk about this today. I'd like your opinion on it though, because I find it irritating because yes, you can ask for people to subscribe to your channel. That's fine. But doing it before you've even done the video, don't you think that's a bit weird? Shouldn't people actually watch the video first and then decide for themselves? Plus, if people aren't subscribing, is it really because they forgot to? Is it really because they don't realize that that's a thing they can do? Or are they just choosing to selectively watch a video, not necessarily wanting every video from that creator in their feed forever and ever? I don't know the answer, but it's been starting to irritate me. I'm going to jump in here and I'll share with you. I'll go into my analytics and I'll share with you my numbers, because for those of you that are interested about how much of my audience are actually subscribed versus not subscribed, I thought we'd come in here and we'd find out together. So we're going to jump behind the scenes and you can see, I'm trying to get, what have we got here? There we go. That's got it there. So let's jump over here. I'll just make sure I'm showing you only stuff that I can show. And this might be interesting for you to take a look at. And if you have a YouTube channel, doesn't matter what the size is, you can look at these same analytics yourself. So if we'll come over here to my YouTube analytics, you can see here that my watch time from subscribers is 85.7% not subscribed. Yeah, that's right. Not subscribed. So 85% of you right now are not subscribed, except that's not true, because the majority of people that watch a 2-hour live town hall show, either live or on the replay, or that watch Your Music Live or the GarageBand weekly shows, the majority of you are subscribed. This is the thing though. I have a lot of videos on this channel. I have a video about how to clean out the lightning port on your iPhone with a toothpick, for goodness sake. I have videos that are not necessarily directly related to all the other content here on the channel. So the people who watch a lot of my GarageBand stuff are generally subscribed because they're into GarageBand. Very few people are going to watch 10 GarageBand tutorials on this channel and then not bother subscribing. But there are a lot of people that will come in here, get a problem to something like a dirty headphone or lightning jack, and then get on with their life. And that's who a lot of these people are. And you know what? Here's the weird thing. I know that subscribers, I just talked about it. I just said, hey, I'm very thankful that we've hit 90,000 subscribers. And then in the same breath, I'm going to say, but subscribers don't matter, because subscribers don't matter if they're not people that are going to watch your content, not watch your video. And how does this sort of relate to creators like you? Well, you don't want people that don't dig your music. If you're creating music and you're putting out music videos and you are a rap artist, do you want all the metal people to subscribe to your channel? Say you could get an extra 1,000 subscribers and they're all giant metalheads. Do you want 1,000 metalheads on subscribe to your channel, knowing that not one of them will watch a single one of your videos? You don't, because of other things, because of things like click-through rate, because of things like watch time and engagement. Because if you say you had 1,000 subscribers and you add another 1,000 subscribers that are not into your content, but you're getting the same number of views, you're getting, say, 100 views per song or per video that you put out. Now you've got 2,000 subscribers and you're still getting 100 views. YouTube looks at that and says, hey, a lot less people, a much lower proportion of this person's subscriber base is actually interested in what they're putting out there. And that's where the danger comes in. That's why when I hear about these let's grow together groups, I hear about these sub for sub groups, I hear about these like for like groups, it makes me feel really anxious, because too many people are putting too much emphasis, see what I did there? Too much emphasis on a subscriber count that doesn't actually relate to engagement with your content in any way, shape, or form. And the same thing can be said for your music. So when you're sharing stuff online, when you're sharing stuff on Spotify or iTunes or Apple Music, wherever it is, getting a number of followers, same with Instagram, same with Twitter, whatever it is, followers, listens, likes, all of these are just little vanity metrics, little dopamine hits that you can get. And you know what? It's fine. It's cool. I like it. You like it. Everyone likes it. But when they are false, they don't serve any purpose whatsoever. I promise you. So that's my rant on that. But yeah, let me know what you think. Neon Monkey Mania says I'm subscribed. There you go. I'm a fan. Well, and that's cool, because if you like what I do here and you like what we're putting out, then that's a good thing. I like that. But If you don't, if you come here, then if you come here and you're not interested in this content, like if you've watched this first 15 minutes, I was still recording. If you've watched this first 15 minutes, you've said, oh, this guy seems to talk about stuff to do with music creating, video creating, GarageBand, mobile creating, audio, home studio gear. I'm not interested in any one of those things. Then muzzle tough. More power to you. Move on and go find what it is you're looking for. However, if that's what you're into, then cool. Hang around. Stick around. We love you. Hello, everyone. If you don't see me commenting, it's only because I'm driving and listening to you guys. Yes, please don't text and drive at all. It's a bad idea. Or YouTube comment and drive. The last thing I want to know is that I hear a story that Ron has had an unfortunate accident because he was trying desperately to comment on a Studio Live Today video. That would be super bad. Yes, Tampa Bay Lightning. That is my second team. There you go. Thomas Christ says, I think it's a good idea to invite people to subscribe about a quarter way through, but you probably shouldn't mention analytics in doing so. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's a bit like, and I know it's different in different cultures, but it's a bit like you're having a conversation with someone and then without them asking you, you just offer up how much money you make a year. So you're just having a conversation with someone and you're like, did you know that I only make $80,000 a year and I would like to make $150,000 a year? I'd be like, okay. Because again, for a lot of YouTube folks, this is our job. And it's a bit weird to just say, I want more of you to subscribe. It just seems very demanding. It seems a little bit egotistical. I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Maybe I'm in the minority. Clearly I am in terms of creators because almost every creator I see is doing exactly this right now. And I don't get it. not a fan of metalheads. Hello, Sion. Thank you for being here. I hope you are doing well. Yeah, subscribers are important, but returning viewers are important. And the other thing is that it all comes down. If you are looking to get engagement, there's two sort of things. In fact, I'll go into a sub rant here about this because there's three types of topic, and it's been described this way. I didn't invent this, but it's been described this way a bunch of times. There is your hero content, there is your hub content, and there is your help content. So your hero content is not necessarily going to drive subscribers. Your hero content is a video that you'll put out there. So my hero content's probably my clean out your port video, or it could be a video where I show, like I do writing a song in 30 minutes, because that might have universal appeal. A lot of people are into it. People that don't know me and that aren't necessarily into the weeds of the nerdiness that we go on about sometimes here, they might actually dig that. Then there's your hub content, and that's your run-of-the-mill everything. Every GarageBand, every time I come on here and I do a YML show, or every time I come on here and I do this show, or I'm talking about different things and topics and opinionated, that's the basic general hub content. We're having conversations about audio, video, and creators. And then there's help content, which is designed to be searchable and to actually help people. So for a lot of you, you're probably doing a lot of hero content or hub content. So you'll be doing your hero content is your music video. You create a song, you put a music video out there, a lyric video, you do something. That's your hero content. You want to premiere that stuff. You want a bunch of people to watch it. Your regulars will come along, but hopefully some new people will come along and listen and watch that. Your hub content might be behind the scenes. It might be here's a screen recording of my project, of my song. All of that sort of stuff is your hub content. And then many of you won't be doing help content. I think most people should. There's a controversial statement, I know, but I think most people should, because you learn so much. I was talking about Sarah's podcast before. When Sarah was first considering doing a podcast, she said to me, there's so many people doing podcasts about being a creator. Should I create my own podcast? And I said to her, yes, because no one is saying it the exact way that you're saying it. Say that again. No one is saying it the exact same way as you. And it's the same with your music. No one is creating the exact same way as you. No one is making videos the exact same way as you. I learn so much from people who are technically less experienced than me, but they're able to apply things in such a way that I would never think of. So yeah, I don't know why I got off onto that weird tangent, but yeah, the help, the hub, the hero content. I say all of that to say, yeah, you should be creating different types of content if you want to engage with people, but not all of that will actually be designed for that. Sorry, quick coffee break. I always let my coffee go cold. Quick coffee break. Yeah, but some of it won't actually be there to drive subscribers, and that's the weird thing. And look, it's different. There are some channels where it will be all about getting subscribers. And I know a lot of other channels have that flipped around. They have 80% subscribers watching and 15% non-subscribers because they're making consumable daily or weekly content that doesn't have a whole lot of replay value. It's not searchable. It's not help content. It's all hub and hero content. There's a big difference between that and what we do around here. Question from Kim. Yeah, rant over, and then I got on to a different rant. Question: Will streaming services turn up my song, or will they turn it down? My song is minus 15.4 dB. Does it absolutely have to be minus 14 dB to sound as loud as everything else? Good question. I'm not sure if you were on the show, if you caught the show a couple of weeks ago, but there is a great website, Kim, called loudnesspenalty.com. I'll bring it up over here. Loudnesspenalty.com. What you do, you grab your WAV file of your final master, make sure it's your final master, it's what you want to send out to stores, and throw it in here. This will then check that master, and it will tell you how much it will be turned up or turned down based on each of those different services. So let's see if on my Mac here I have a WAV file. I'll come in here to my downloads, and I'll just find a WAV file of a certain type. If I just search WAV and search that, I'll find something. 1.21. Well, that's not a wave. There's a wave. Here we go. Spy from a Distance. My final master. Here we go. Final mix master of Spy from a Distance. Let's grab this and we'll bring this over here and we'll drop it into the loudness analyzer. And it will have a look at this. And yeah, so what this is telling me is that I've actually mastered this too loud, because it's saying that across all of these platforms, it's going to be turning it down. It's going to turn it down 4 dB on YouTube, Spotify, Tidal, and iTunes, and Amazon, 3.8 on Pandora, 5 on Deezer, and 4.2 on Spotify Legacy. So that's all not super cool, yeah? So I probably, in hindsight, probably should have come back and mastered that a little bit lower. So what I do in essence with that is it means that I've got too many peaks hitting that highest level. So I'd want to go back and maybe just in my final limiter, if I had it pushing up to like minus 0.1, maybe I put it to minus 1, or maybe I just turn down the gain on one of the final plugins in my mastering chain, something like that to do that. Let's find another song, shall we? Let's see if we've got anything else in here that's a WAV file that we can try. Murdering Time. There's a master of Murdering Time. Now, this one, I think, should show us that it was turned down a little bit less, because I'm pretty sure I mastered this one a little bit more subtly. Yeah, there you go. So this will tell us that it's going to be turned down 2.7, 2.7, 2.73. So it's less of a problem there than the other one was. And it's not actually that bad to be turned down a little bit. They generally won't turn it up that much though, so that can be a problem. Let me just see if I can find a mix as opposed to a master that I may be able to. I think most of the stuff I have on here is masters. So let's just find. All right, here's just like a little 8-bar beat, and this is probably, yeah, there you go. Okay, this is a great example. So this is a beat that I did. Actually, let's just take a listen to what this sounds like. So if we play this. Was that going to play through here? Apple Music. So this is a beat from Imagination, not mastered, just mixed yet. So that's that sound there. And as you can see over here, if we just move that out of the way, I'll just close that off. So I've got too many windows happening. Then yeah, this is actually going to be turned up. If I release this to Spotify right now, it would turn it up 2.8. It would turn it up 3.3. Tidal, YouTube, Amazon, Deezer, they'll leave it alone. So this will give you an idea of what services will turn up and down your final master based on the level that you've actually done it at. So hopefully that helps you out. It's a handy website. I did a video on it a while ago, but I might have to revisit it because it's a handy website and not a heap of people know about it. Let's continue on here. Yeah, if only YouTube... Yeah, very good point, Tom. And if only YouTube didn't make functionality conditional on subscriber count. I've chatted about this with a lot of people, like some high-level YouTube gurus, the likes of Dean Nimmin and co., and they agree with what I have to say here, which is that YouTube having a subscriber count as a gateway for any feature promotes the wrong behavior. What it says is go out and get subscribers at any cost. And the best thing they did for the YouTube Partner Program is actually add that 4,000 hours of watch time, because I think that views and watch time are so much more important. So engagement, genuine engagement, because you can have it. You've probably seen channels like this that have 10,000 subscribers, that have been acquired via various methods, some legitimate, some potentially not. But you look at the videos and they're getting like 50 views and like maybe 10 likes or so, but almost zero comments. If you look at the subscriber to view to comment ratio and to like ratio on videos, that's going to give you a really good indication of which channels have grown organically and have put in the hard yards, and those that maybe have taken a shortcut. And I can guarantee you that the shortcuts work in the short term. They call it, a quick fix and a hack for a reason, is that it won't always stick. So yeah, I agree with you, Tom. Though it should be a thing. It's Ivan Idea. Boom. Hello, Ivan Idea. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, exactly. If it's minus 15 dB, they'll turn up anything. So it's really when you're over minus 10 RMS that you might get turned down. Exactly. So use the loudness penalty site. It will help you out. Sub rant over. Oh, mate. This is our rant show, Huska. Settle in, strap in. We rant about a lot of topics. That way, we do have, in the second half of the show, we jump into some hidden gems. So we'll talk about some other things as well. Brad Examples in the house all the way from Canada. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I know that hopefully the Canadians can get up, but, Tampa Bay all the way. Boom, indeed. There you go. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you out, Kim. Should be a handy site. So let us know how you go. If you can do it while we're doing the show here, let us know how it goes, and it would be cool to circle back on that. If you've got your WAV file handy, let us know. Is it going to turn you up or down on the master that you currently have? Be good to know. I got asked about compression again this week from a couple of folks, and it is a confusing topic. I'm only going to touch on it really briefly here today, but to be honest, the easiest way, whenever anyone asks me about compression, I go to Google image search and I try to find some of the images that they have there, because people have done a better job of this sort of stuff than I have. So if you are a visual person, as opposed to a textual or auditory person, go to your Google image search and start searching around, because you can actually see what these sort of things mean, what compression actually does to things. So this one is probably one of the better graphics that I've seen going around here, where you can see that this is an uncompressed file, right? So these peaks are going up to what is probably 0 dB, like they're up there. There's that threshold at minus 15 dB that's cutting off all of those peaks. So everything's down here, there's this really loud bit. Now, people think, compression levels it. What it does is it pulls this up. It doesn't. What it actually does is it pushes these peaks and these peaks down. So the compressed file that you get after an uncompressed file like that looks like this. So it's not actually doing anything. If anything's sitting below that threshold, it doesn't touch it. That's a really important thing to keep in mind, because people will jump into a compressor and they'll be like, well, I compressed it and it doesn't sound any different. It's probably because all it's done is balanced out the level. So now instead of this sounding 3 times as loud as this, now this will sound twice as loud as this. And if you keep that threshold line going down, then everything will sound about the same. The other thing to keep in mind is that even though compression is used to increase volume, as you can see by the definition here, what it's actually doing is decreasing volume. So it's cutting off the peaks, it's squashing. That's why you might hear people say compression is squashing. It's squashing down the peaks so that there's a balance between the loud and the soft parts. Now, if you overcompress, let's see if there's an example here of overcompression that we can show here. We'll bring this one up here. So something like this is getting to the point of overcompression, and this is where you're going to lose a lot of that dynamic range, because you can see here that when there's a significant difference between the loud and the soft parts of a file, then you're going to have those loud and soft parts. If you look at something like this, or down here, these WMA ones, they turn into like a sausage. And if you've ever seen these waveforms, there you go. Here's one. That's an overcompressed file at the top there. That's probably a Foo Fighters master. So that means that if this is the same one as this, so if that one has like a dynamic range, you can see it's building through the song, it's building up there over time. This one, it will just start loud, be loud, and end loud. Now, for certain types of music, for metal, for super hard rock, for super hyped up dance beats or things where you really need that, maybe you need a master like that. But more often than not, you're going to lose so much dynamic range that you're actually going to damage your overall audio. So I just wanted to touch on that. Yeah, here you go. This sort of thing here. That sort of compression is okay, but look at all these peaks. Like there's no difference between these peaks. It's just at max volume throughout the whole thing. And this is all because of the loudness wars. People blame Metallica, they blame other bands, but this is what happens, and you just end up like, look at these. Yeah, look, the rest is noise, more on compression. Yeah, so this sort of stuff, if you're starting to see your waveforms look less like this and more like this, then you got some serious problem. That's a good hard rock waveform of a final master in my view. That's just getting a bit ridiculous. What do you think though? How do your waveforms look? Because again, it's not how it looks, it's how it sounds, yeah? But in my personal opinion, too much dynamic range is being crushed. Yeah, the death magnetic loud, exactly. It was death magnetic that was just so super loud that it was destroying the music. The dynamic range was going away. I'm just going to come back up, see if there's any comments. Yeah, we've got lots of Canadians here. We've got, so Sion's from Canada, Brad's from Canada. We've got Mark, of course, from Canada. So the Canadians are taking over. Studio live today. Yeah, I know the game starts in 30 minutes. I didn't plan this show and this showtime around the hockey, but I should have. In fact, I'm going to ask that question. I was going to ask it later. I'll throw it out here now, and I'm going to put a poll on the channel here. But this show is actually at 8:30 a.m. my time, which is 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and at midnight Greenwich Mean Time right now. Shows like YML that are at 2 p.m., 5 p.m., and 10 p.m. seem to be a better fit for a lot of people. So I am considering taking one for the team and moving this back to 6:30 a.m. So 6:30 to 8:30, because now that Jade does her shows at 5:30 a.m. my time, it just seems like it would be a better time to run this show. So let me know if you think that's going to work out for folks, because yeah, I know that a lot of folks have contacted me in the last few weeks, said, hey, I'd love to come along to the Creator Town Hall. It seems like a good show, but by the time I watch it, it's like a day old, because it was midnight, 1 a.m. when the show started, and I just couldn't be awake for that because it's a Sunday night, which I understand. So let me know. Let me know about that. Yes, and yeah, hey, it's Gary Hubs. Hello there. Yeah, so everything kind of sounds louder, especially quiet parts. Yeah, exactly. So if you've got a ballad and you really need that dynamic range between the quiet and the loud parts, over compression can be the worst possible thing you can do, because it can really damage how a song sounds. There you go. Loudness penalty says my song will be turned up 1.1 dB. That's not bad then, Kim. To me, that even means that you could probably push it a little bit louder to get it to that point where it's not changing it at all. Ideally, in a perfect world, you want them to go, yep, this is perfect. We're going to play this at the exact volume. 1.1 dB, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. I wouldn't worry about it. And it probably just means that you've actually got some dynamic range in there, that you haven't crushed it. Yeah, there you go. Gary Hubs is the start loud, end loud kind of guy. Excuse me. So Huska says, so if everything's over compressed, everything sounds kind of powerful, but then you get used to it and it kind of loses power throughout the track because it isn't part more powerful. It's like everything's turned up to 11. Exactly. As usual, folks in the community here have explained in 10 seconds what it took me 10 minutes to explain. But absolutely. Compression is magical. I stacked compressors on my vocal in a recent song and it really helped. Vocals, see, the thing is, the human voice is one of the most dynamic instruments. And it is an instrument. Your voice is an instrument, one of the most dynamic instruments, because if you think of how softly you can touch a key on a piano to get a sound, it's pretty soft. And you can bash it and you're going to get a sound that's maybe 10 times louder. Think about then a guitar string. Again, you can pluck it, you can play it louder. You get into instruments like trumpets and drums and things, you can tap them, you can hit them louder. The human voice, I can be perceptible at this volume. Or I can really yell. Like, we have so much range in our voice, which means that if you're singing, there's a lot of things. There's the distance that you are from the microphone, because the further distance from the microphone, even if you're talking at the same volume, you get kind of a tremolo effect. So if you're really getting into a rock vocal, you can get that sort of thing going on. You can get the side to side if you're trying to get into it as well. There's just the natural thing of one take maybe louder than another take. You may not be able to keep the same loudness going right throughout a track. So vocals and compression, yeah, they do go well together, because if you've ever looked at a vocal recording, you look at the waveform, yeah, you'll see that most people sing vocals all over the place. And a bit of compression, and again, stacking those compressors is good, because you might want to just put a little bit of light compression to kind of chunk it down, and then maybe you put another more aggressive compressor for a bit more of that flavor that you get in there. So maybe using a couple of compressors can be a good option. Gary is from Canada as well. Exactly. The Canadians are taken over. Love it. Love it a lot. Yeah, exactly. The coach can only melt players once in a while, or it loses effect equals using too many. Yeah, compression is the. Here's a hockey reference for the hockey fans, since there's so many Canadians here. Compression is the John Tortorella of plugins, because the reason John Tortorella hasn't won any championships lately is because all the players hate him because he just yells at them constantly and keeps benching them for little things. Whereas if he used that, if he just benched a star player once a season and just lost his schnizzle, but then only did it rarely. Yeah, it's a bit like me. I'm a pretty calm sort of person, but occasionally when I raise my voice, and doesn't relate to my kids because I do it all the time. But occasionally, like in the workplace, I was just the guy that would sit in the corner. Occasionally, when I just lose my stuff, and then I'd go, "This is unacceptable. We need to do this and this and this." People are just like, "Woo, uh-oh, things just got serious here." Thomas Christ says, "We're watching a video the other night that another thing we need to think about is not having too much dynamic range, so all the parts of your song will be audible on a variety of devices." Absolutely. And that's another great point, which is mixing at low volume, or at least listening back. When you're doing your mix, turn it all the way down and like have it at the almost imperceptible volume and see, can you still hear all the instruments? Can you still hear the vocals cutting through the mix? Because what often happens is that it sounds great at medium volume, it sounds awesome at high volume. You turn it down and all you hear is this muddy so that's probably telling you, hey, I've probably hyped up this bass too much. I may need to go out and roll off some of the bass tones of my guitars or my vocals, use some of those high pass or low cut filters to remove some of that bassy rumble, because if you're not getting that treble cutting through, because bass is the first sound that's heard, yeah? That's why when you're outside a nightclub, all you hear is a boom, 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 because that sound is the first sound you hear. And then as you get in, the mids come up, and then the trebles are the last things that your ears can hear. So if you're not hearing the vocals, if you're not hearing those treble instruments, it may be that you're overhyping the bass. And you can often not tell when it's at a really loud level, but as soon as you mix it really low, and you'll see people, and people in pro studios will do the same things, they'll turn it all the way down and just listen really carefully at a really low volume. Can you hear everything? Yep. There you go. Roll up the rim, roll off the bass. There you go. Love it. So that's a bit of compression chatter, because I thought we'd get into the nerdy side of that. We'll jump to the next topic here. I'm going to talk about this. So, I went to my first sold-out concert last weekend. I went and saw Tim Minchin. If you don't know who Tim Minchin is, if you don't know who Tim Minchin is, he's an excellent performer. I'll come over here. If you want to find some Tim Minchin gear, just come to your YouTube. He is not safe for work, and definitely not appropriate for children, especially that song, Prejudice. That's the Ginger song that Jay wants me to perform. I said to Georgie last night, Jade, I'm like, oh, Jay said I should do Ginger, to do Prejudice, and she's just like, no, because it is very controversial, shall we say, especially in 2021. Yeah, it's 11 years ago. It's fine. Go listen to it because it's cool, and it's not what you think. But it's very clever. He's a very clever, very amazing singer-songwriter. Anyway, that's Tim Minchin. We saw him last week at the Adelaide Cabaret Festival. So at the what is it called? The Adelaide Festival Theatre, which is a great venue. I've been there many times. Saw Ben Folds there. I've seen a lot of great artists perform there. And yeah, because it was a sellout, there were some requirements which were a bit weird, because to be honest, the requirement there was that you had to wear a mask while sitting in your seat, which I guess kind of makes sense. You're indoors, you were literally like shoulder to shoulder because it was sold out, and when you came in, you had to put your mask on. But where didn't you need your mask? In line at the bar, in line for the toilets, in line to get into the venue. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that kind of defeats the purpose, because I was an awful lot closer to dudes, like without getting gross about this stuff, but when I was having a comfort stop in the intermission, I was an awful lot closer to an awful lot more dudes' faces, yes, only faces, than I was while I was sitting in my seat. So there's that. I think that it's probably more for the staff. So obviously that's just us patrons, and you know what, if there's some sort of problem that's patron to patron, it's not great. But I think it was designed to ensure that Tim, that his band, that the ushers, that the door staff, everyone else was actually protected, because they all had masks on. Not the band, they didn't have to, but all the support staff and everyone had masks on. All the punters had masks on, except for a couple of ladies behind us that were apparently, I didn't get the memo, I didn't get the email that said there will be 2 ladies that will sit in row C that are actually way more special than everyone else, so they won't be wearing a mask, while everyone else will be. So I don't know. Thomas Christ has a good song about the masks, and I wanted to turn around and shout those words in my loudest voice, but I didn't. Because again, you never know. It would be just I was talking to my wife afterwards. I'm like, it'd be just our luck that they've got some medical condition and they've actually got some legitimate exemption. I don't think they do because they were just sitting there giggling and sipping champagne. So I don't think they did. But yeah, it annoys me because I don't think people need to be that special. That the rules don't apply to them. The rules apply to everyone but them. There's 5,000 people in this theatre. Only 4,998 of them need to wear a mask. Anyway, if I say the word mask one more time, this will get flagged as some sort of misinformation. So I'm just going to move on from that, except to say that it didn't make any difference. It was an amazing gig. Having a mask on my face, I didn't care. If you said to me, you either have to wear a mask to every event that you go to ever for the rest of your life, or you never get to go to another event, what am I choosing? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, great show, great gig. Interesting to see how things are going. I shared the experience I had late last year with the concert I went to there. That was a pod concert, like an outdoor pod concert. Now that we've got things happening back indoors again, yeah, there's just requirements. It's going to be different, and that's the thing. I know the only thing that doesn't change is that things will change, and I wrote a song about that, and it's the fact that we're not going back to normal. I wish I would stop hearing the words "back to normal." What we need to do is work out what we need to do in the future, because we can't go backwards unless you're watching Back to the Future, which is different. So there you go. That's my rant about my concert experience. But yeah, it was really, really cool. And hopefully I see that in the States that there's concerts starting to happen again, which is really good to see. That across the UK and Europe, you're starting to see more events and more concerts. So the more people that can get out to see live music, the better, in my humble opinion. Question, do you use the stock compressor in GarageBand or a different app? I generally use the stock compressor. The two things that I use the most, Sion, and I'm pretty sure you use similar things or the same things. I'll share my screen. I'll share my iPad screen so I can show you because it's easier to demonstrate when you can see things. All right, that's popped up there. We'll plug in that audio. So all stuff that Pete should have done prior to the show, but didn't. There we go. We'll bring this up. Boom. Do we have our audio coming through? Let's find out. There you go. There was my my little track there. So the two things that I do use the GarageBand stock compressor an awful lot. So if I just wanted to compress these drums, I've just got the compressor on here and I'll use that. That's sort of my utility compressor. If I really want some flavor or really want to crush something in, what I'll reach for is our friend Fred Anton Corvest. Yeah, I think many of you knew I was going to go for this, the FAC Maxima. So this has some great options in there. It's there you go. You've got your threshold and you've got a bunch of other options in here. You can set it to either be fast or slow or middle, and you've got a heap more control over exactly how you're compressing here using this one. And you can even come in here and change this up. So there's a bunch of cool presets you got in here specifically for drums. So if I wanted to max out this drummer track, we could do this. Let's just solo this with the FAC maximized. Right? Compare that to that. Like that drum is going to cut through your mix. Yeah. Now you wouldn't probably put the drums max on there. Let's just put like the classic drums on here, and we'll also put the mix knob down so it's not as heavily mixed in. But you're going to get something like this. And again, you get that cool visualization there, so you can see exactly where your peaks are and exactly what your compressor is going to do. The other one that I really enjoy is just called Channel Strip. And it is this one here. It's made by Audio Damage, who you may know make Rough Rider, which is probably the other one I'm about to mention. But Channel Strip is really cool because, again, you get this cool visualization of what's going on here. If we hit play and we turn on the compressor, see that one? You can actually see, like on that the thing I showed before, you can see the line there. So you can actually see what's happening as you change the threshold. It's really great if you're learning how to use compression. So there's a couple of options there. And then, of course, if you want free, if free is what you're all about, then you really can't go past the Rough Rider, which is also from Audio Damage. Rough Rider, it will flavor up your mix a lot more. So I wouldn't use Rough Rider if you got like a nice singer-songwriter, something that you want just a little bit of gentle compression on. But if you want to crush something, yeah, the Rough Rider 3 can really give you a crushing sound. You can hear there that you're starting to get that pumping, that limiting kind of sound in there if you start pushing it up too high. But yeah, there's thankfully a heap of cool compression options, both in the mobile world as well as with desktop, because I think all of these have desktop versions. I'm not sure about FAC. Someone can correct me. Does Fred do desktop versions of his FAC plugins? I'd hope so, because they're awesome. And I use them. I use the Maxima a lot. He's also got like Chorus and what's the one that I bought because Jade did a demo of it and it just sounded so cool. I still haven't used it on anything. Maybe I'll use it on. Is it not Transient? Oh, the Altezza. Yeah, the Altezza, which is not going to sound good on these drums. Or is it? No, it's not. But yeah, the Altezza is another good option for you there. So good question, Sion. But yeah, more often than not, if I'm just trying to compress something because I need it to come up in the mix and be more balanced, I'll just throw the generic compression plugin on there. And it's all good in the hood. Does anyone use an Alesis 3630? No, and what I'll have to firstly do is look up what that is. So let's come over here and look it up. Am I the only one that looks up things on YouTube? Like when I'm looking for something, I'll just look it up on YouTube. Oh, there you go. Now, I can't vouch for this because I don't know who Audio Pills is, but it's pretty funny when you search Alesis 3630 and it's like, Alesis 3630, worst compressor of all time, question mark? Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so it seems to be a hardware rack compressor. So there you go. Better get mine. Okay. So it looks like it's a compressor limiter with gate. There you go. How and why I will use it. There you go. Oh, I've got the hiccups. I apologize. Luckily, I only get a few hiccups at a time. So no, I haven't. I have very little outboard gear. I was looking. I have an old Zoom effects rack that I used to use back in my early recording days with my 4-track tape recorder of all things, because you had a send and a receive, and you could record through that, and you could even like mix back through external gear with the 4-track, because the 4-track didn't have any built-in effects. So when I wanted to add reverb or delay to a vocal or a guitar, I'd have to route it through an effects unit. But since going digital, I don't know if I've plugged in an external piece of gear for compression, for reverb, for delay. Let anyone here use anything external? I'd love to know, because maybe I'm missing a boat here. It went cold. Told you it would go cold. Don't you hate that? Very cool. Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit of mask work, and yeah, just I did really want to yell that. Can I write a song Back to Normal, Back to the Future? Yeah, that should be Time It Flies Part 2. It's like, there is no going back to the future. You must go into the... No, I don't know. Bad idea. I have to go to the pool with 5-year-olds. Yeah, happy, by the way, I've buried the lead here. Happy winter/summer solstice. Yeah, right? It is the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere on the 21st of June, which I know is tomorrow for most of you. I just happen to live in the future. But today, the 21st of June, is the winter solstice, which means it is the shortest day of the year. So for me, it is a day of optimism and positivity, because it's only getting better from here. It's going to start getting warmer and the days are going to start getting longer. For everyone in the rest of the world, you've peaked. I'm sorry. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's all downhill from here. Don't you love coming here? Thank you, Amelia. Thank you. Can I call you Mrs. Christ? I'm going to anyway. Thank you. Good to see you here. Yeah, and feel free to smash like. You can smash it. You can just gently nudge it. Who was it? I think it was on the Clubhouse this week that someone was sharing. Someone who talked about the whole, you can smash. Don't smash the like button. Just gently caress it. Just give it a little gentle touch, because you don't want to smash. It's like, oh, I really liked this video. Put your fist through your screen. Maybe not. Maybe a bad idea. Audio Pills is amazing. Should be a hidden gem for bad gear reviews. Yeah, Okay, well, look, that's a good segue because I want to talk about something. I want to talk about where is it in my list? I've missed it. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. Stop wasting money. Why am I talking about this? Well, I've got to go and find the particular video I'm talking about here, and it is this one. Any fans of Spectre Sound Studios in the house? Yeah, raise your hands. I I am, but I'm not. And in fact, I'm mentioning the channel twice here today because, as you know, from this channel, I don't do a whole lot of the. I don't curse on the channel very much. Occasionally, if I'm singing a song that has it in there, I will. So I don't do that, and I don't like to go negative. I don't like the whole creating an audience through the negativity side of it. So going negative as opposed to just being positive about what is good. That being said, I enjoyed the crap out of. See, look, I've started swearing because I'm watching too much of Spectre Sound Studios. I enjoyed the crap out of this particular video, which was 13 things to not waste money in your studio. So I highly recommend watching this. I've linked it down in the description below. But what was the comment from Tom that made me think about this? I can't remember. Where are we? It was smashing the like button. That's right. I went off on that, and I went off on weird tangent after that one. Audio Pills is amazing. It should be a hidden gem for bad gear reviews. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Because another video I watched, which I was going to talk about later, but we'll jump over there now. Because do I have it down here? Yeah, this one here. Oh, by the way, congrats to Glenn. Like he's dropped a ton of weight in the last couple of years. Super inspirational. So this one was from 2019, and then the more recent video here, I've lost him now. I know that wasn't the point. Yeah, look at him. Look at him in 2021. Good job, mate. But that wasn't the point. The point here was a lot of what he does is around what not to do. So mistakes that you make and things you shouldn't buy and things you shouldn't do and why this sucks and why this is terrible. And I know that is appealing, and there's a group of people and there's obviously fans. I mean, I'm talking to him, and he's getting 112,000 views on a video. So he knows what he's doing. I'm not going to be here and saying, oh, you shouldn't do things that way. Clearly it's working for him. He's a very talented engineer. He knows his stuff, and pretty much everything he says I agree with at least 80% of the way. So I'm not saying anything bad, but I wonder about the whole going negative on things and saying what not to do as opposed what to do. So for myself running this particular channel, I've always talked about what to do, and I haven't really gone after anything not to do. I mean, that's not entirely true, because I do say to you, I said at the very start of this show, don't just go onto eBay and Amazon and buy the cheapest microphone you can. But I wouldn't go out and say, like what Glenn said was that Neewer, he's like, don't buy the Neewer microphones. I'm like, yeah, I've used Neewer microphones. Look, they're not great, and I wouldn't recommend them. But I'm not going to go and make a video and say never buy Neewer, because if people want to, then they can, more power to you. I'm more of a you do you, run your own race. I'm not concerned with what you're going to do. I'm just going to tell you what's good. And it's the same with gear. If I buy a piece of gear, or if I get sent a piece of gear and it's just doesn't work, it's just not for me, what I'll generally do is just contact the company if they send it to me, or if they didn't, just give it to someone else or put it in the cupboard and leave it. I won't come out and say, oh, the new blah from this brand is the worst piece of kit that I've ever used. Because, I don't know, it's just something about that probably from my corporate days, I probably am struggling because it's the whole, like, don't burn your bridges, Pete. Like, you never know, you might need to go back. And so maybe it's that. I don't know. I'm confused by it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Are you into this? Do you like Glenn Fricker? Is he cool? And does he do good things? I think he does. I think he does really good stuff. It's just not everything he does is for me. So there you go. That's my gear. That's my thing. Ivan's got. Ivan's uses the piece of gear we talked about before, the Alesis. It's in my box full of old gear. There you go. What time do I go live? The easiest way, Barry, is to subscribe to the channel. Then you'll get notifications of when I'm live. But you're right, I do need to put out a regular schedule of what time I am live and when. This particular show is on every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 midnight Greenwich Mean Time, and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Australia. Most of my other shows around that time or earlier. But yeah, I should get a schedule, a live schedule or schedule, depending what you want to say. Friggsy, hello and goodbye. Jumping in for a few minutes. Yeah, so folks like Frigsy is who I should probably make this show 2 hours earlier for. Hello, Panda Cat PK. Hope you are doing well. I hope you're not in a bad mood because people's rude interjections. There's a lot of people out there who are way too egocentric, probably not too bright too. Oh no, I'm not in a bad mood at all, and I don't worry about it. We'll talk about that in a few minutes because we're going to do a little midpoint motivation chat about that sort of thing. But no, I don't. I very rarely let people get me down or bother me. Just quite to the contrary. I think I'm a bit worried that my skin's going to become too thick because I'm going to stop listening to genuine criticism, and that's the danger, right? That whenever you're a creator, there's two ways you can go. You can either be so thin-skinned that someone says, "Oh, I think your vocals might be mixed a bit too loud." You go, throw down your headphones and run out of the studio and never create again, or you can get to the point where someone says, "Oh, your vocals might be mixed a bit too loud." You're like, not hearing you. I don't listen to haters. I don't answer haters. You haters can take it. It's like, no, you got to listen to people's genuine advice and feedback because you don't know everything. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. Glenn Fricker doesn't know everything. But we all are just doing our best out here. So, yeah, no, definitely no problems with that in the slightest. I think I've missed a bunch of chat. I have. Yep, so we've got Mark who's confirmed the summer solstice. So yeah, the summer solstice here is in about 4 hours' time. So I'll go for a walk to celebrate the shortest day of the year. There you go. You're welcome, Sion, and I'm sure other people were thinking the same sort of things. Thomas says that bad gear reviews more often than not is about finding the good in older gear that people slag online, just for clarification. And it's a really good point. And that is, don't take one person's advice. Don't just listen to me. I've said this a bunch of times. Like, I will review something and I'll be like, you know what? In my opinion and in my experience. So if I'm grabbing a piece of gear, I grab this. I grab the AKG D5, and I say the AKG D5. What can't I say? The AKG D5 is the best dynamic vocal mic that you'll ever use. No. Can I say that the AKG D5 is my favorite dynamic vocal mic that I use? Yes. Can I say this thing is hands down the best that you're going to buy? No. Can I say, in my opinion, this is the best that you can buy? Yes. So that's the difference. Yet, would I say just go out and buy this because I said so? No, because you can go out and you can check other people's. Go to Podcastage and check out his reviews at Bandrew over there. Check out a bunch of other reviews because they may say, oh, this is good if you do this, but for me, I do these sort of vocals and I prefer a short SM58 for that reason. Or I prefer to use a condenser mic over a dynamic for these reasons. So yeah, do your research. As much as I'd love to say, I know everything and always listen to me, I don't and don't. And anyone that tells you that you should always listen to them or makes definitive statements about gear, saying what is good and bad, that's probably the biggest problem I have, to be honest, is I'm not a fan of definitive statements. I think they're dangerous, and I think too many people just say, this, fact. You know, we've had a whole problem in the last sort of few years around the world is that people just express their opinions and views as facts when they're not actually facts, when they are purely subjective opinions based on their experience. Enough said. I won't beat the dead horse. We'll go on from that. But anyway, I say all that to say, go watch this video. Great video. Stop wasting money. And he talks about some of the things that you do waste money on. That's actually really good, like buying really high-end cables. He says, don't buy the cheapest, buy decent stuff. But you don't have to buy the monster cables that cost you $100 for an XLR cable. And there's a bunch of other things. Mic stands. Don't buy cheap mic stands. Oh boy, have I bought cheap mic stands and regretted it in a big bad way a bunch of times. So yeah, do as Glenn says and do watch that video because it is super duper cool. Let's just go a little bit left field here. I want to show this one because Josh Pike, many of you won't know Josh Pike, but he's actually one of my favorite Australian artists of all time. There he is. He looks a bit like me, doesn't he? A little bit more hair. Sorry, Josh, you don't look anything like me. A dude with a beard has an acoustic guitar. But what I love about Josh is that he started doing tutorials of his own songs. And I don't know why. I don't know why every artist is not doing this. Because I go onto Ultimate Guitar and I try and work out how to play songs. The other day I found a Colin Hay tutorial where he showed how to play his song Overkill. And I'm trying to learn that at the moment, but my fingers just don't go in the right places for some of his cool chords. But Josh Pike is doing exactly the same sort of stuff. So I won't play the audio here because, although it probably won't be copywritten, but there he is. You can see, look, it's just he's set up a phone. He's clearly edited in iMovie. And he's just gone out there and shown exactly how he plays his songs. I think who wouldn't sign up for this if every artist did exactly this? It just shows a level of humility and the fact that he's doing something different. Like Josh can't go out, he's just started touring again, which is great, but for a long time he wasn't able to go out touring. So what's he started doing? Well, he's like, hey, I know a bunch of people dig my music. I know people that dig my stuff are singer-songwriters like me a lot of the time. People like Pete Johns. I'm sure he thought that. He's like, oh, Pete Johns would really love this. But this is exactly what he's done. And I just love it. So I'm going through these tutorials now. There you go. We'll give this one a like. Going through these tutorials, learning how to play Josh Pike songs. And again, many of you won't know who Josh Pike is, so it's not going to be for you. But how cool is that? Don't you think that that's a great way to engage with your fans, your potential fans, new audiences perhaps, musicians that don't know you but want to learn more about your music? I just think it's cool. So I do go, and he's called it, I love that he's called it Josh Pike's Average Guitar Tutorials. Again, that just tells me that tells you all you need to know about the level of humility that guy has. Huska says, did anyone else learn the difference between facts and opinions in second grade? I feel like a lot of people skipped that day or something. Maybe I just had an enlightened teacher. Yeah, there you go. Exactly right. And it is a bit weird. I think we all have just forgotten about the difference between facts and opinions. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to get all into the weeds on that one, but I think you all know exactly what I'm saying. All right. Here's a question. When you're making or writing songs, do you ever just play riffs instead of open chords? Yes, I do. I do exactly that. And I'm going to come off mic for a second while I grab my guitar, because I'm going to give you a practical example of riffs versus open chords. So when I was writing my recent songs, so here's the difference. So I've written a couple of songs. There's a song called Never to Blame that I wrote all around the fact that I love the E7 chord and the A7 chord. So I wrote a song and it was just this chord progression was. So just using a combination of E7, A7, C7, and B7, and I just loved that chord progression. So I wrote that song. My song Murdering Time was around an actual riff. So that was around this A minor to E minor riff that went like this. Like that. And then something like No Apologies, that was the lead riff that I wrote. So it was all built around that. The song Anxiety was written in drop D. It was all around this riff, right? So yeah, different songs come from different things. Sometimes I'll write the hook, sometimes I'll write the intro, sometimes I write the chords. It's just a chord progression, and sometimes it's actually a more of a lead riff, or at least more of a riff style. And other songs were written on piano. So the songs like What's the Matter with People Today? What's that called? We're trying to have a society today. Society here. That was all written around that ding, ding, a ding, a ding, ding, a ding, a ding, that sort of Sesame Street style opening chord progression that I did on the piano. So yeah, I think it's important to just try different things. Not everyone will learn the same way or will create the same way. So trying different things is really the way to go. Excuse me. Friggsy says, humility is a lesson my dad always preaches, and he played at pretty big band in Ireland in the 80s and 90s. It will take you a long way. Confident but humble. Yeah, confident but humble. It's interesting, isn't it? It's actually kind of what I wanted to talk about here today. Where's my notes? I've been going off script and haven't been on my notes for a while, so we're just going to go back to my notes. So yeah. What I wanted to talk about in our midpoint motivation today is less of a motivation. Sorry, where's my heading? Where's midpoint motivation? I've lost it. That's right. You know that we're talking about midpoint motivation. I'll just put this up here. And it's what I've started calling flex culture. Now, this comes in a bunch of different forms. This comes in flexing over, I am the greatest, the old Cassius Clay kind of things going on there. But yeah, I am the greatest. It goes through like, yes, I'm the best musician ever. I'm the best studio technician ever. I'm the best engineer and mixer ever. All the way to flexing over things you have. So there's flexing over things you do and your talent level. And then there's flexing over things that you actually have in terms of possessions. I have the best car. I have the best house. I have the best girlfriend. I don't care what it is. I have the best of everything. And I'm seeing it just, it's a toxic and pervasive thing, especially on the internet. And people like Gary Vee, who I subscribe to and I talk about a lot on this show, say things along the lines of, why are people buying things they don't need to impress people that they don't like? And this is the weirdest thing, yeah? This is the weirdest part about flex culture, is that from what I can see as an outsider looking, or an outsider looking in, insider looking, I don't know. What I see about this is that it really is. It's a compensation for a lack of confidence in your own self and in what you're doing. And whether that is, I need to buy a BMW to show the people at school that called me a nerd what a nerd can do. I've got enough money to buy a Beamer and you don't. So there's that sort of whole revenge thing of, I'll show you. But why are people trying to show things to people that they don't like in the first place? And the musical crossover here of flex culture is what happens in online forums a lot, which is people flexing on the gear that they have and poo-pooing the gear that other people have. So I mentioned it earlier in the show, but I'll say, hey, the Steinberg UI22C, it's a $190 interface. It does everything. It's great quality for the home studio. And there will be people that to that will say, I can't believe you're suggesting that. My Apollo twin, which cost $899, like they're happy about the price tag. I'm like, $899, I don't want to pay that. They're like, oh, my Apollo twin has far superior preamps and 196 kilohertz quality and all these features and DSP processing. I'm like, cool, more power to you. Why are you telling me that? What's the purpose? Oh, you can't possibly do that. I'm like, what part of you is not just away using your cool gear to create music? Why on earth are you spending time doing this? And I'm realizing over time that it's part of this same flex culture that I'm seeing coming up through, especially in younger folks, but it's even pervasive into older folks. And I know this is nothing new. This is keeping up with the Joneses, but it's keeping up with the Joneses 2.0, and it's getting a bit scary. Because I've talked about it before, that there's people that are posting things online. If they're not getting the success that they want, they delete them. What? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if I put a video out and it only gets 10 views? If I'm like, oh no, that'll make me look bad, I'm going to delete it. Heck no. Because it might get 10 views today. In 2 months' time, a bunch of people may discover it and go, hey, this is really cool. So, I don't know. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here. I'm preaching to the converted, because very few folks around this community are like this. But are you noticing this as much as I am? Are you noticing this flex culture around it? And I mean, from a talent point of view, I kind of blame Kanye West. I kind of blame some of these folks that are coming out. It's not just in the rap and hip hop world, but it seems to be pretty prevalent there, where they're just like, oh man, I make the most fire beats. My beats are so fire, you won't believe it. And I'm the greatest. I'm the best producer going around. I don't know. I just can't get behind it. It seems to be worrying. And again, why do people want to buy things? And yeah. And the worst possible thing is, I don't know if you've seen these, but posts where people are standing in front of their private jet or their Lambo, usually rented, with like wads of cash. I'm like, my goodness, you are like a cartoon character. This is like a parody of yourself. Are you actually seriously holding up wads of cash to show that you have wads of cash and to make other people look up to you because you have wads of... I don't get it. Anyway, I'm going to move on, but I just thought that was weird. And I don't know if anyone is doing the same thing. Frigsy says, I love the tone of your tailor. Yeah, it is... well, look, it depends if you like your... No, is it Takamine or is it Takamine? I never know how to say that. I've never said it out loud, so I don't know how to say it. But yeah, this is actually... This is the absolute entry model tailor. And again, I'm happy to say that. I'm like, I bought this for $900. Like this, that's a lot for me. A lot to spend on a guitar, $900. But it was like $14.49 retail. And I managed to pick it up brand new for $900. I was like, yes, score. But it's in drop D now, isn't it? Yeah, but no, it really does have a good tone. It's the 110E. So if anyone's looking for a new acoustic guitar, this thing punches so far above its weight. It's not the CE version. It's not the cutout, because I find that cutouts, I very rarely play lead bits. I very rarely need to get up on the neck any further than the 12th fret there. So I didn't get a cutout. and you get a much fuller tone. I think that's one of the reasons that this thing has such a nice full tone is it's the E model, not the CE model. So yeah, if you're keen for it, in fact, I reckon it's on my gear guide. I think I've actually got it over here on the gear guide. Sorry, we pivoted very quickly back to talking about gear. I know. Where is it? Guitar. There it is. Taylor 110E. Let's see it over here on Sweetwater. I know you're over in you're over in Ireland, so it will be Thoman or somewhere like that you'll need to buy it. But my internet's getting very slow here at the moment because I'm streaming and trying to do a whole bunch of things at once. But yeah, there's a lot of great guitars out there. I don't think it actually matters what you use as long as you're getting a good tone. But yeah, if you're thinking that you're not loving the tone, so look at that. Yeah, $7.99 US. So I picked up for $900 Australian, which is $900 Australian, which, as we know, is the equivalent of about $200 US. No, not quite, but it's a bit like that. But yeah, look at that. It's such a nice guitar. And if you've heard me doing the live shows, that's just plugging straight in with the pickup. Just everything set, no effects, a little tiny bit of reverb. But yeah, the way this thing's built and just the quality. Got elixirs on there, so the strings are elixirs, which just sound great. It's got, yeah, the classic Taylor pickup with the adjustments there. And yeah, it is just a solid, beautiful guitar. I am super duper happy with it. If and when I upgrade, I'll probably just upgrade to the 3 series or the 5 series, just the E, like the exact same one that I have, but just for slightly better quality wood and slightly better quality finish. But tell you what, bought this thing 4 years ago, hasn't missed a beat. A bloody marvelous guitar. The only problem I had with it was that it has no battery warning light whatsoever. So it's either working or it's not. And there's the battery in the bottom there. So yeah, when I needed to replace the battery, I don't know that I need to replace it until it just stops working, and that's a pain. That doesn't make me happy. Well, I have headphones that are so bad, even Pete just about yelled at me when I mentioned how cheap they were. Oh, hi guys. Hi, Amarasea. Good to have you here. Did I yell at you? I would never yell at you over cheap gear. Maybe not. Maybe I would. I don't know. If you bought them too cheap. The thing is, for some things, I recommend cheap gear. I mean, there's a manufacturer that starts with B that shall remain nameless that a lot of people buy their gear from, and some of their HD interfaces are actually pretty darn good. Like I know folks like Glenn Clark get really good sounds out of their. It rhymes with Derringer, which aren't they those little guns like Derringer pistols? There you go, 1,049 Canadian. That's a good price too. 1,049 Canadian, $7.99 US. What is it here in Australia for my guitar? I'm intrigued now. Yeah, exactly. Thomas Christ saying, got to keep a battery tester handy. I know I have all the tabs. I have all the tabs open here at the moment. But yeah, we're not talking about flex culture anymore. Let's take that off But here in Australia, we don't have many good places to buy. Like we don't have a Sweetwater, and Amazon don't have a whole bunch of gear. So the place that I normally buy things from is called Derringer's. I used to buy from Alan's Music, but if I go to, I'm just intrigued at how much this guitar actually costs now. And then I promise we'll get into some hidden gems. So what is it? The Taylor 110E. Everyone's like, thanks, Pete. Yeah, because we really care how much your guitar costs in Australia. There it is, $12.99. So yeah, so it's still got a street price of $12.99 here in Australia. So you could probably pick one up here in Australia. Like, definitely try and sheniggle them down because you might get it down. I think I got a particularly good deal for $900, but yeah, you'll be able to get it for less than $12. Never pay the full retail price if you go into a music store. They always have wiggle room. There you go. There's an additional bonus tip here that if you're buying an instrument, the sticker price, the shelf price has always got at least 10 to 15%, sometimes up to 20% wiggle room. So yeah, if you've done your research, do your research online, make sure you know what it costs at other places, and then try and get it for the best price. And try to avoid those interest-free terms because, my goodness, they're not interest-free. I was a particular retailer here in Australia that shall remain nameless, took out a big full-page ad, at the end of a P word, when everyone should be just sort of watching their budget and saving some money, saying 60 months interest-free. And then you read the fine print, it's like $8.95 monthly account keeping fee. And I was like, do you know how much, if you bought something for $2,000, paid it off over 5 years at equal installments, at $8.95 per year, you're paying an extra $500 for a $2,000 piece of gear. Just keep that in mind. If it's the only way you can afford it, more power to you. But Interest free is the most evil word phrasing that I could possibly think of, because it is not interest free. It is technically interest free, but it is not in the truest sense. All right, someone mentioned all the tabs. Let's get over here and start looking at some of these tabs, because I'm going to do some hidden gems here, and then we've got a few more things to talk about at the end of the show. So I already mentioned it, but a hidden gem is Spectre Sound Studio. I know, yeah, like I think Glenn sets himself up for people to have a love-hate relationship with him. I'm subscribed to his channel. I watch a lot of his videos. I get annoyed by some of the things that he says and does, but it's all kind of part of the fun. And I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but every time I watch a video, I'm just like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, but actually, it was pretty cool. So definitely check out that one, the 13 things not to waste your money on. And this one, which I've put in the description, is about the eye lock. Now, if you've never used an eye lock, yeah, you are in a good place. But I hate physical copy protection. Does my head in. And what an eye lock is that some high-end plugins in the desktop world, you need to have an eye lock that it's a USB thing you plug in that has physical file on it, like an encryption thing, to make sure that you're not pirating plugins. Now, I get it. People pirating plugins is a bad thing, and people stealing software is a bad thing. Everyone's done it in the past at some time or another, but there's got to be better ways, right? Make a good product, make it reasonably priced. Don't do things like this. It's like any gamers around, the copy protection on games. When games like Safe Disk and some of these copy protection things, and back in the old days where you'd have like a physical wheel, you have to crack codes. It's like, just let me play the game. Like, seriously, if you make a decent game, if you price it well. The problem is in the gaming sector, they started making games here in Australia $100, $110. And that's why people started copying them. If you just made games $40, everyone would just buy them, because the effort factor would not be there to bother going and copying them. It's the same with this sort of stuff. If you're buying a plugin bundle that's $500 and you have to use an eye lock just to use the own stuff that you paid for, and guess what? You know what's stupid about all that? For the people that are going out there and copying it and pirating it, they're cracking the eye lock anyway. So, anyway. I agree. Again, that's why I like Glenn's passion on these sort of things, because I agree with a lot of what he has to say about it. Let's go to my next recommendation. And this, I think I've mentioned it once before. It's an absolute cracker of a channel. And this particular series is awesome. It is Spencer Cornelia. He's an excellent YouTube creator, 150,000 subscribers. He talks a lot about some of the things that I like, which is scams and fake gurus and these people going around. Like, he exposes the dudes that stand there with the wads of cash telling you, hey, you can be rich too. Just take my $497 course and I'll teach you how to be rich like me. A, no, just no. And B, if you have giant wads of cash, why are you bothering selling a $497 course to teach other people how to do what you have done? Just keep your secrets of money making to yourself and make a lot of money, right? Am I wrong about that? I don't think so. Anyway, you do need to check out this series. It is a whole series that he does. It is called Why Your Favorite Musicians Are Broke. And if we just search here, you'll see that it's actually a 3, or I think it might even be a 4-part series now. If we go music industry, we'll search this one out here. So yes, these ones here. So there's part 1, part 2, and part 3. So 3-part, and it's got a new, I haven't actually watched this one. How the music business tore apart the Wu-Tang Clan. There you go. There's one I'm going to watch later. Let's add that to my watch later. I'll check that one out later. But definitely check out the first 3 parts of this series. They're an easy watch. What are they like? Yeah, 11, 12 minutes long. Really interesting stuff. It goes through why artists sign contracts, how the different record company and the record industry in general is pulling the wool over people's eyes, is just the fact that getting a record deal is not actually going to help you. 9 times out of 10, you are going to lose money on a record deal, because it's basically like a loan and you have to pay back a loan. So as soon as you do start making money, guess who makes money first? Yes, the record company, not you. So you'll watch these and you'll go, oh, thank goodness I'm independent. And if you're sitting there right now going, I really want to get a record deal, after this, you're probably going to be like, I really don't want a record deal, because it's a bit sad. But yeah, do check out Spencer Cornelia. Like I said, a lot of his other stuff is all really good stuff. Frixie says, I have a B interface. It's pretty decent, really. Yeah. Like I say, their higher end stuff, you can talk about the ethics of their business model and blah, 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 blah. But their HD series interfaces, the UM2, the cheapest interface that you can buy, yeah, it's noisy. If you're recording like really hard rock stuff, it might be okay. But yeah, if you're recording anything intricate or delicate, yeah, the very cheap interfaces just have too much noise floor. All right. Yeah, interest free means non-interesting. There you go. Yeah, and look, I know it's pulling on that whole "we want it now" kind of mentality, and there's Zip Pay and there's Flex Pay and there's all these other payment options that you get now. And if that's what you can use and it's going to get you good gear, then sure, more power to you. But read the fine print. Same with the record industry. Like, if all these artists read the fine print, they would have realized pretty quickly that they're not actually going to make any money. And if you read the fine print about the establishment fee and the account keeping fees on so-called interest-free conditions, you'll very quickly learn not good. Random. All day yesterday, I couldn't get a GB project to upload to iCloud. It was named The Shadows version 2.5.3. Finally, after trying everything, I changed the name to TS253, and it finally uploaded. How interesting. I wonder if that had anything to do with the decimals in there. Because I know that I didn't think iCloud had this problem, but some cloud storage platforms still, oh, excuse me. Sorry, there was no avoiding that one. Some cloud storage platforms behind the scenes, they still actually have the file extension. So for instance, if you tried to have like .wave, .blah, .something, it can confuse the file system and then not allow it to actually go in there. So yeah, maybe that's the case. So maybe by changing it. There you go. Anyone else that's having that issue, maybe try that. Change up your file name. If it's not uploading to the cloud, change it up and then go there. Frixie says, have to say I have a good relationship with my local music shop, my favourite shop. I put as much business through them as I can, and there's always a discount. Yeah, and as much as I say buy things online, like I would be silly to say to you don't buy things online, because obviously part of the reason that I can do this and that this is my job is that I have affiliate links and I do videos about gear, and then when I recommend a piece of gear, I put a link to my affiliate link and you can buy it online. Does that mean that I say don't go and buy things if you've got a good relationship with your local music shop? No. Definitely do that, because I buy things like mic stands, like large things that are clunky, like speakers and headphones that you may want to go and actually hear before you buy. And look, all the places have really good return policies now. So Sweetwater and Amazon and everyone, you can return stuff if you need to. But sometimes just going and physically seeing, hearing, touching, playing with a piece of kit is the best thing you can do. So I do agree with that. There you go. Thomas says, I'm sure what he says is 100% accurate. It's also 100% depressing. Yeah, exactly. And it's why we are all independent. Emil says the price of today's video games back to the 90s is not the reason why people illegally download video games. The real reason is the introduction of the CD on video game consoles. Yeah, and that's the thing. As soon as CDs came out, like cartridges, you couldn't actually copy. Not very easily. Like, it would take a lot more gear. As soon as we went to digital, to CDs, and then to digital files, yeah, it becomes a problem. Hello, Sean Chandler. Good to see you here. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you. This gear live stream is a gem. Thank you. Yeah, the one I did the other day, or this one, either way, it's fine. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Just make sure I've caught up with everyone. I have. So let's move on to our next hidden gem, and it is our man Sanjay C. If you don't know who Sanjay C is, super nice dude, super knowledgeable, does similar sort of stuff to what I do, plug-in reviews and gear reviews, more in the home studio, of course, as opposed to the mobile studio. But again, if you are a home studio creator, jump over to Sanjay C and subscribe. We'll just play a little bit of his video here. This is him showing his new studio space back in February when he was setting up. So if you're setting up a home studio and you want to see cute dogs and get super jealous of all of his nice looking kit there, then you can go and check out that Sanjay C. So yeah, really good channel, has some really good stuff, and good recommendations as well. And again, a really nice guy, super humble, and has humility, which is obviously things that I value pretty highly. When I look through the list of the people that I like and that I watch the most, they're all really good people first and foremost, and then really smart and educated creators secondly. So there's a lot of channels that I don't mention here. Again, because of what I said before, I don't mention the channels that are probably even bigger ones and probably even got better information, but I don't see eye to eye with the person running it. So therefore I don't watch the channel. So again, I don't know. It might just be me, but for me, it's always person first and then content second, and then expertise and all the other stuff. But yeah, it's got to be a nice person that's presenting nice content, and then I'll watch it. Yeah, Sanjay C is such a cool creator and such a good guy. He was actually on he was on Mike's channel the other day. Creative Source Sanjay C. Definitely go and check out this. I haven't watched this video yet. It was a live chat between Mike and Sanjay C. I've been saving it up to watch it. It's an hour and a half. I know, who would ever do an hour and a half live stream? Oopsie. But yeah, I do want to watch that because Mike got to chat with Sanjay C, which is very, very cool. So go and check that one out. What have we got next on the list here? Here we go. I've talked about David Bennett piano before, but I got to mention him again because he's such a cool guy. Here he is talking about 10 Beatles hits that rip off other songs. So a little bit controversial, but he is again someone who, first and foremost, really nice guy. Secondly, interesting content, really interesting stuff. A lot of his videos are about this sort of thing, about songwriting, about songs, and about different bands and different types of music. And then he knows his stuff. His knowledge of theory, music theory, is just next level. And I know there's other theory people. There's the Rick Beatos of the world and there's other people. But yeah, David Bennett, piano. And I know it says David Bennett piano, but he's not just piano. It's not. You don't have to be a pianist or even a piano connoisseur to enjoy his channel. Just definitely get over there and check it out. Yeah, what's wrong with 1.5 hour live streams? Nothing. They should be 2 hours. Or if you're the metalhead hippie, they should be 6 hours. There you go. Emil says I'm also subscribed to Sanjay C's channel. He sure is a nice guy. I don't always agree with his review videos, but that's just because of different tastes. Exactly, and that's the thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when I've watched his videos, similar to what I said before, he doesn't say, this is the best thing and you should all buy it and you should all use it. Like me, he'll say, hey, I love this piece of kit. I use it. It sounds like this. This is what it does. And I recommend it for these reasons. And then you move on. And then you can watch that. And if you watch that and then you watch another video that doesn't recommend it, you're like, Sanjay said it was good, but then I went over to Podcastage and Bandry said it was average. So I'll take those into consideration and it's probably above average. So yeah, definitely take in a bunch of different opinions. Don't listen to just one person. I know I'm a bad YouTuber. I should say I'm always right. Always watch me. Always watch and listen to everything that I've said. Freaksy said, I've watched Sanjay C before. He's good. You're right, though. It's about the person. There are so many people that you can just see it's about the money. I kind of back out of those pretty quickly. Yeah, and I agree. And I'm not saying that you can't make... I would be a super hyper hypocrite if I sat here with this being my full-time job that I make through advertising revenue and through affiliate sales and say, people that do this for the money are bad. But people that prioritize the money over the creativity and over the advice and the education side, it gets really bad because, and I'll be perfectly 100% transparent and honest with you, it would be in my best interest to recommend more gear, to get all the gear and just say, hey, this is good, buy this, and then put the links in my description to everything. Why I don't do that is, for me, my reputation is worth more than an extra couple of $100 a month that I might get from recommending bad gear that you'll then get, that then you'll go, oh, Pete said this was good, it's actually crap, and I'm super disappointed now. So for me, it's all about that reputation. And again, there's people that will come up and they'll create big channels and they'll talk the talk, and then eventually people will start seeing through the veneer and they'll start scraping away at the surface and realize, hey, they're just saying everything's great. And we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of sales funnels in a bit, because I'm gonna talk a little bit. I'm gonna rant a little bit because I haven't ranted enough in this episode, so we'll be ranting a little bit in a short period of time. It is almost like the metalhead hippie heard me mention his name and just came down from the mountains, boom, because there he is. Hope you're doing well, Jeff. Thank you for tuning in. If you like long live streams, if you think my live streams at 2 hours are long, go over to this guy, Metalhead Hippie, and check out his shows. But no, he showcases music. His entire bag is basically what I do for 2 hours a week on Your Music Live. He does that 3 times a week. Amazing creators, great music, excellent community. Go and check it out. Go and support the Metalhead Hippie. I don't think I've made the hippie. Oh, maybe I did. I think I made you one of my hidden gems in an earlier episode. But there you go. Bonus hidden gem for you. Let's see if we can search him out here. Metalhead Hippie. I reckon if you search Metalhead Hippie, he's the only Metalhead Hippie in town. Yeah, there you go. So there's Metalhead Hippie. There's his shows. That's what they look like. So go ahead and do that. When are you on today? 11:30? Oh, there you go. So you get an hour break. You get an hour off. I'm going to set my reminder now, Hippie. You get an hour off between the end of this show and the start of the Hippie show. So if you're still around, I know for the folks in the UK and Europe, that's super late. But he'll probably still be going by the time you get up in the morning. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing about the Hippie. Oh, there you go. Righty. Emil says those people who are in it for the big money are most likely sponsored by any manufacturer. That can happen a lot as well. And I'm complete again. I try to be as transparent as I can around when I get a piece of gear, if it's been sent to me. If I have been sponsored, today I'm sponsoring myself, so you got no problems with that. I'm sponsored by my own gear guide, so you might be saying I'm sponsored by everything. But when I'm sponsored, when I do Your Music Live, YML, that's sponsored by DistroKid. So yes, they are a paid sponsor of that show, and I make that pretty clear. I tick the box in YouTube when I've got a promoted video that's actually sponsored and being paid for, and I'll let you know that that's the case. Turns out that everyone that I'm sponsored by, I actually choose to. So you're very unlikely to tune into a Studio Live Today show and me say, speaking of music gear and audio and mobile creating, NordVPN are really good for VPNs. So, the amount of times I hear creators try to wedge in what they're creating, or speaking of cheap interfaces, are you paying too much for your razors? Well, Dollar Shave Club will help you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes it just doesn't match. Whereas DistroKid and Pete John Studio Live Today are like match made in heaven. IK Multimedia, who have sent gear for shows as well, match made in heaven. Like all the people that have sponsored this show, all the companies that sponsor Steinberg with Cubasis, like they gave me a free copy of Cubasis and all the plugins because I did a whole series about Cubasis, and I mentioned that at the time. So yeah, I think I've no problem with making money. I have no problem with people monetizing their content. I just want to make sure that it's all relevant to what you're actually saying. If suddenly I'm sponsored by a bikini wax company, you'll know things have gone really downhill. Yeah? All right. Yes, 2:30 a.m. I know. It is. It is late. And do let me know. Do drop a comment down below if you think that we should make this 2 hours earlier, because I'm considering it, and it will definitely help our friends over in the UK and Europe. And for those in the US and Canada, I can't imagine being 2 hours earlier would be a big problem. Just means it'll be 2 p.m. Pacific instead of 4, and it would be 5 p.m. Eastern instead of 7. So let me go. Let me know how that goes. Testify, Pete. Thank you, Hippie. It's folks like Jeff, it's folks like the Metalhead Hippie that keep the lights on around here at Studio Live Today. So I do thank you. I do thank you, Jeff, and thank you to everyone. Thanks to everyone who came to the happy hour yesterday. That was really cool, and many of you that are here now actually provided donations and made requests there. So that was super cool. We need a hockey score check here, so I'm just going to make sure, see how we're going here. Oh, no score yet between the Knights and the Canadiens. Canadians have got 5 shots on goal. The Knights just 3. So that's where I'll be heading in about 30 minutes' time to watch the second and third periods of that one. Huska says, I thought you didn't care about metalheads. No, I was using that as an example. So Hippie, earlier in the show, I was talking about the fact that a rap producer, if they wouldn't, and we're talking about subscribers. We're talking about the fact that if you are a rap music producer and you could get 1,000 metalheads to subscribe to you today, so you could go from say 1,000 subscribers to 2,000 subscribers, that wouldn't be relevant. You know who that would be relevant for though? Metalhead Hippie. If he got 1,000 metalheads, they're his people, man. That's his tribe. So it would be cool. For me, I do a bit of metal. I do a bit of everything. I try to have my finger in all these different pies. There you go. Oh, what was the other funny comment here? Did Apple give you a free copy of GarageBand? Yeah, I've got a special announcement actually. Apple have been so kind; they've given me 1,000 copies of GarageBand to give away to lucky Studio Live Today viewers. All you need to do is go to the App Store and type in GarageBand and hit the download button, and you'll instantly qualify for a free download. Sorry, I totally stole that joke. I think that was from Jade or Tom or someone that was talking about giveaways, and we are talking about how challenging it is to run giveaways on channels like this. Yeah, it's a slippery slope. It's hard. Emil says, I like this time. I'm a night owl. Kim says 2 hours earlier is a good idea. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we go. Friggsy says it's 1:32 in Ireland and the UK. An hour earlier would be cool. 2 hours would rock. I'm thinking I just pulled the trigger. The main reason I haven't is it's Monday morning here, and previously it was Monday mornings were a big rush. So the reason I picked 8:30 is because I used to have to help get the kids off to school and all that sort of thing. I still have to do that, but my wonderful wife is working from home on Mondays now. So I checked in with her today and I said, hey, I'm going to ask the community if we do this show 2 hours earlier to help more people get along live. Is that cool? And she wonderfully, because she's a lovely person, said, yes, that would be cool. So we'll see how that go. Nice segue for the Apple plug. Yeah, I love metal music too. I dig it. Thomas says, yeah, wouldn't have a problem 2 hours earlier, right after Jade. Yeah, I think it just makes sense. It makes sense to probably just, keep things moving along, because Doug usually does his slot and then Jade has her slot. And then when I'm doing things like tomorrow, I'll do GarageBand Weekly, which is at that 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 12 midnight time. And that seems to work well because it leads straight on from what other people watch. And then, yeah, everyone gets to watch and then move on with their afternoon or evening that way. So we'll see how we go. Do they have Father's Day down under? We do. It's in a different month. I'm pretty sure it's in August. Probably because June is our coldest month here. So, you buy Dad a round of golf and he has to go out and freeze his butt off. There you go. Zion says 2 hours would work well. There you go. Exactly. Mark says that would be supper time on Sunday for me, so that means I'll get the replay, but that's okay. Yeah, that's the thing. It's always a juggling act, isn't it? It's always hard to do that. But I guess because we run for 2 hours, Mark, you can always jump in and jump out. Thank you, John. Yes, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers in parts of the world where it's Father's Day, which is the UK and I believe the US and Canada. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, we do Father's Day and Mother's Day at different times. But we also celebrate the Queen's birthday in a month that's not even the month of her birthday, so go figure. Everything's a bit weird. Did we get through? I don't think we got through all the hidden gems. No, we didn't. I'll take a quick drink and then we'll move on. Another channel that I think is pretty cool, and this is really great. So Music Repo, really great for people starting out. They cover a lot of the topics that I covered early on and that I still cover now. So this is probably the most popular video over at Music Repo, which is audio interface versus mixer. Yes, I do have exactly the same video. So does Matthew Stratton. So do a lot of people. Like, this is one of the questions that everyone gets asked. And this is actually a really excellent explanation of this. So it goes into a lot of detail about the differences, like a lot of different things, like whether you should get a mixer, how audio interfaces work, got lots of good B-roll footage in there, how to set them up, like just really amazing stuff. And there you go, looking at the stereo recording of a mixer versus an interface. But yeah, Music Repo. It's starting to get up there, 72,000 subscribers. But yeah, lots of really, really informative and great stuff, especially if you're a beginner or an intermediate level creator. There's going to be a lot of good stuff for you over there at Music Repo. So do jump down into the description and check that one out. Okay, this one is not safe for work. I've put it in the link. I'll put a link in the description there. But it is the latest video from a great channel that has actually helped me quite a bit over the last sort of 3 or 4 years. I've been watching this channel quite a bit, and many of you may have heard of it. It is called Charisma on Command. And I know it sounds a little bit wanky when you say charisma on command, but it's actually a lot of really good real-life relevant information. So what the main purpose of the channel is that they look at different people, like celebrities and different people in the spotlight, and they look at what is it that makes them either do really well, do not so well, like what are their good qualities and their bad qualities. And it's a lot of information on there about how to present yourself in your best light. So it's not about, hey, everyone should change to be just like Brad Pitt, because you have to hit the gym to start with. But it's basically just saying, hey, there's some things that we do that maybe we don't think about. There's some things we do that others interpret in different ways that maybe we should reconsider. So it's not about telling you what to do, how to do it, but it can really help you. And especially if you're a presenter, like me, it can actually teach you about how to engage with people in a positive and engaging way. And some of the things that maybe you're doing in your videos or in your tutorials or in your instructions or whatever, even just in your interactions in regular life, that may not be where they need to be. This one is about the surprising psychology of OnlyFans. Now, I knew nothing about OnlyFans. Someone talked to me about it recently, and I thought, well, if Charisma on Command have got a video about it, I'll learn all about it. I'll let you watch the video to learn all about OnlyFans if you don't know what it is. It's like Patreon, but for very specific sort of content, let's put it that way, and leave it at that. But the actual channel, Charisma on Command, is actually super good. So I highly recommend you come in here, check them out. So you can see there, they talk about, like, again, a lot of celebrities, so they jump on the bandwagon of some of the celebrity stuff there, but again, it's an interesting watch. They're all little sort of bite-sized between sort of 7 to 15-minute videos, and it's just interesting thought starters and things that you may want to check out. So there is one thing. Oh, was that Joe Rogan? No, thank you. Another interesting channel to check out. So there you go. And Marcia is saying, I've subscribed to that channel and never watched the videos. See, that's a problem. And that's why a lot of these channels have a lot of subscribers, but then you look at their engagement and it doesn't quite match their subscriber level, which is not a bad thing. Hey, I wouldn't complain if you were. I'd complain about lower engagement if I had 4.64 million subscribers. Probably not happening anytime soon. I don't think our little home mobile recording niche quite has 4.6 million people in it. Even if I manage to reach out to every single person. Hello, Les Productions, Yvonne. Yes, a little bit late. We've got about 20 minutes to go, but yeah, we're ticking along here. Charisma on Command is a great channel. I've been there for a couple of years. It's food for thought. Yeah, it's 100% just food for thought. But not sure, not 100% sure, but Music Repo that helped me set up MT Drummer and Reaper. It was really good, but I know most of the folks here are GB. Yeah, no, I think that's where I found it too, because I used to be a Reaper user, and MT Drummer is actually the drums that I used on my very first EP. So there's a connection there, isn't there? Because I think I was the same. I was looking around at the time because I was a cheap ass and probably still am. But I was looking around. Oh, I'm not signed into DistroKid. Anyway, I won't show you here now. But yeah, my very first album, which is called Family, which I actually recorded in Reaper, like way back before I even got heavily into GarageBand. Yeah, I recorded the drums using MT Drummer because it's a free. It's like I think I've eventually moved on to Addictive Drums, but MT Drummer is like a free version of Addictive Drums where you can program in pretty decent quality drum sounds for what it was. I digged it. I dug it. There you go. Yes, the hippie's finishing setting up for his show. Very, very cool. I hope you have a good one today. I'll be out walking, so I'll definitely be tuning in to catch some of the hippie show later in the day. Next up, I talked about the fact in last week's or 2 weeks ago, I talked about all the creators I follow and support on Patreon, and this is one of them, and it is Fran Blanche. She is a really cool creator, electrical engineering background, and super into all this sort of stuff. And this particular one's pretty cool because I'm not a turntable owner, let alone user. But looking at Fran in this, I love watching people that are passionate about what they do. And I found Fran through the EEV blog, through Dave Jones, who's an Australian dude. Many of you may know him as well. If you don't, I'll show him in a moment. But yeah, I just love learning about people and looking at this like record player. Look at this thing. How cool. Do people remember having these things back in the day? Like the little 45 players? Oh, so cool. Love it a lot. So yeah, definitely has a musical tilt to this sort of stuff. Dave over at the EEV blog isn't really musical, but he is definitely a giant nerd. And I say that in a really good way. There he is. He has a lot of great videos. If you're into the tech side, if you want to see things like this, look at this, the ATEM Mini teardown. Like, I was trying to remember the name of the ATEM Mini the other day, but look at this. He's actually going to tear down this ATEM Mini, which is like a switcher. So this looks like it's his switcher, in fact, because it's got Dave on there. So, yeah, so this sort of stuff is cool, where he just opens stuff up and he just tears it apart, gets the screwdriver out, shows you how it all works on the inside. This has got like 2 processors in there and all the heat sinks and everything that goes into these bits of consumer gear. There you go, the heat sinks. Hey, those heat sinks aren't the same. Boo. Yeah, it's a really funny dude. So there you go. There's an extra bonus one, which is Dave over at the EEV blog. Yes, I'm a cheap ass, aren't we all? Who wants to spend more money than you have to for stuff? Like, yeah, fair enough. Spend some money, but I don't want to spend all money. Hello, Adam and Gearing. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for being here, and thank you to everyone for being here. We still have about 15 minutes left, but we are winding down for the weekend. Weekend. We do have GarageBand Weekly happening tomorrow, so don't forget that one. GarageBand Weekly at 2 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So that'll be tomorrow's show, GarageBand Weekly. We'll be talking about a bunch of stuff, including something I was going to cover today, but we're going to run out of time, which is iPadOS 15. I'll tell you really quickly about this because it was in one of the videos I was going to talk about. This one here, I've linked this down in the description so you can check it out if you want a bit of a preview. But iOS 15, we'll talk about it. Let's just talk about it really quickly. We'll talk about it really quickly here, and then you can join me for GarageBand Weekly to get the full story there. And that is, where are we? I'll see if I've got there you go. iPadOS 15 Files app. So this video is linked down below, and it talks about the iPadOS 15 and the Files app there. And where's my notes here? So there's some cool new features coming to Files app. There is NTFS support. So you can now actually use the Files app with a Windows formatted drive. Now, this was something that I've got about 4 videos, and I'm sure that about half of the views, like they've got about 100,000 views on them. I reckon 50,000 of those are people that have plugged in a flash drive or a USB hard drive that is NTFS formatted, because that's what Windows has recommended for like the last 10 years. So if you've got an old flash drive and you want to copy those files to your iPad or iPhone, until now, haven't been able to. But guess what? Now you can. So NTFS support is highly overdue and will be good. You can group by size and date, which is pretty good. You can use multi-select now, so you can use that lasso feature to sort of multi-select around multiple items. That should be super cool. Still no folder size, so still no ability to determine how big a folder is. You can only determine how big a file is, which sucks because you put a 4 gigabyte flash drive in there and you've got like stuff in folders. You've got no idea how much free space you have, and you've got no idea how much each of those folders is taking up. It sucks. But I've buried the lead. The cool thing is a progress bar. Yes, we finally have a progress bar. If anyone that's copied files in iPadOS or iOS knows, you got no progress bar. Now there is one, so you can actually see the process and the progress of a file being copied, which I know all the Android listeners out there, all the Android users that are listening and watching are going to be like, yay, good on you, Apple, 2021, and you got a progress bar to actually show. I'll see if in this video. So this is the video I've linked down from Fjordstrom Travel and Tech, a channel that I hadn't checked out before, but it's a cool channel. So where's the bit where he talks, where he shows the file? Where are we? I'm not going to be able to find it, am I? He needs timestamps. Do you have timestamps? Come on. No. There you go. See, this is why timestamps are good. But yeah, it basically brings up a little thing in the top corner that shows you the progress of it being transferred. So that is good. That is a good thing. That is something that we've wanted, needed, had to have for a very long time. Yes, exactly. Progress bar now. That's progress. I know. It's cool. Finally, a progress bar. I thought it would never happen. Exactly. Me too. Frigsy says EV blog. I think I'd enjoy that one. You would love it, Frigsy. Yeah, if you're into the tech side and you like to know the nuts and bolts, and yeah, Dave is just a super entertaining dude. He's a bit of a cliched Australian because he's from New South Wales. So he's yeah, g'day, welcome to the EEV blog. Oh, she's a ripper. Like he's exactly like that. So he's like a 3 times amplified version of me. And he goes to the gym too, so he's a super buff dude. It's weird, like a lot of technical nerdy dudes are a little bit, shall we say, a little bit soft. Yeah, no, he's also a gym junkie, so he's a nerd and a gym junkie, which is cool. My Atari 400 didn't have a progress bar, neither did my Commodore 64, which it needed. Because anyone who's ever tried to load a game from the data set, the cassette player on a Commodore 64 or an old Specky, the old Spectrum, my goodness. Yeah, you'd go load and it would go loading. And then it would just go, and it'd be like, run, stop, ready. And you'd be like, what does that even mean? What do you mean, run, stop, ready? You're ready? You stopped and now you're ready? I don't get it. I don't like it. Yeah, we don't know how lucky we have it these days. It's actually super amazing. What am I on this video for? I don't even know. Oh, that was music repo. I'm like, why do I have, why have I got this randomness over here? That's another audio cables and connectors explained. So I've still got music repo running in the background there, which is cool. And EEV blog as well, still going over there. What was my next one here? Oh, you know what? I'm trying to work out a way that I can do a featured artist every week here on the Creator Town Hall. I've decided I'm just going to talk about the Indigo Sunsets this week because Stu and Andy are both subscribers of this channel and both patrons. So patreon.com/PeteJohns. They're both patrons and they're both really good dudes and they make amazing music. So I haven't really thought this through, except that I was looking for what to talk about today and I'm like, I haven't mentioned the Indigo Sunsets in a long time. And they're really good. They've just started gigging again because, again, the UK is just getting back to some level of normality or normalcy, whichever way you like to say it. But yeah, they are just a really, really good band. And they are an amazing story because these are a couple of guys that played together, played in bands, did covers for a long time, started writing originals, wanted to record, discovered GarageBand during the P word while they were in the Q word, and just started recording and just learned and developed and established over time. And now they are legitimately one of my favorite bands. Not just the whole, for a home studio band, for folks that are just creating in GarageBand, forget all that. They're just out and out one of my favorite bands. Hands down. So there you go. Stu and Andy, we love you. We love you guys. And the Indigo Sunsets are definitely worth checking out. Check the link in the description below. Yes, as Mark says, Indigo Sunsets are just amazing. Lay Productions have on a 32 kilobyte game that took 16 to 20 minutes to load on cassette. Yeah, I hear you. It was rough. I had a game, I think it was called Lemonade Stand. And yeah, it was a little text-based game. Same sort of thing. I reckon it might have even been smaller than that. Maybe 5 or 10K. And yeah, it took legit 5 to 10 minutes to run and would work maybe 50% of the time. Like, people don't understand the whole concept of sometimes things don't work. Yeah, it took hours and hours, and if you messed up, you had to start over. Exactly. It would load, and then if it didn't load, you just have to go rewind the tape and start again. Anyway, yes, the good old times, those days. Again, kids these days, not only do they need to get off my lawn, they need to be appreciative that this instant on culture, this where you've got your and the weird thing is though that when you turn on your phone's just on. Yeah, the old microcomputers, because they had no operating system, they ran BASIC. Everything was in the ROM, so they would start up in seconds. So that was the cool part. You didn't have to wait for your computer to boot up. There was no like booting screen and no BIOS or anything like that. I'm getting a bit off track here, but I get excited about this stuff. But yet, as soon as you wanted to run any software, that took the time. So actually loading something took you a very long time. All right, let's continue on. Do we have one more? No, it was just Glenn Fricker again. There you go, because it was the last one. So that is my hidden gems for this week. So there you go. We had a few cool ones. Let's just review and revisit. They are all down in the description of this very video. So I'm just going to go to this very video over here this is getting a bit meta, I know, but I just want to run you through it to make sure that that you check out all of the cool stuff that is there. So and also to double check that I put them all in here. So we talked Josh Pike. We talked about iPad OS file management, kind of a bit out of order. We talked a bit about leak culture. I put a video in there about the leak culture, which kind of explains it. You can check that one out in your own time. Stop wasting money. Watch the Glenn Fricker video about that one. Spencer Cornelia, that music industry series is a must watch. If you watch one thing out of everything I talk about today, watch that music industry scam series. It is really interesting. Sanjay C's a cool dude. So is David Bennett Piano. Music Repo's worth a watch. Charisma on Command is great. Fran Blanche is great. The Indigo Sunsets rock out. And of course, Spectre Sound Studios, our man Glenn Fricker over there, who gets a bit angry about things, but is still super hyper entertaining. Alrighty, let's see, do we have, I think I've got one more, that's right, one more thing that I promised today that I'm going to talk about, and that is, where are we? That is this final, no, I've not got it here. I didn't put a thing? No, I didn't. But I'm going to just talk about, I'll add one as we go here. I just wanted to talk really quickly about, we've talked about it a few times, but about sales funnels. So this frustrates me a little bit, and I wanted to, I wanted this to be a public service announcement. So first and foremost, let me say, people creating courses, guides, books, videos, whatever they are, and selling them to people to help them and then make a profit from it is fine. I have zero problem with that. And as I said earlier in the show, I would be a super hyper hypocrite if I did, because I have affiliate links. I have a course. I have an email mailing list. I have this channel. So I do all those things. But I just wanted to talk very briefly about sales funnels and how they work. So what you'll notice is that if you are watching a video, and yeah, this is plenty of channels, a lot of them will actually try to sell something. And you might think, well, they're not actually selling, because they'll say something like this. They'll get to the end of a video, or some will do it at the start of the video. I mean, Glenn does it over at Spectra Sound Studios. Like, oh, and don't forget, we've got Rick Beato. Don't forget, you can buy the Beato book. It's on sale at the moment for blah, 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 blah. That's sort of one way to go. But there's a lot of folks that use something called a lead magnet. And what a lead magnet is that's the, hey, check out my free guide to creating in GarageBand. Check out my free PDF of how to set up a home studio. Now, they're called a lead magnet. In a sales industry, that's a lead magnet, which is something that you give away for free or low cost. That is a lead that creates a warm lead into your sales funnel. This all sounds a bit creepy. It's not really. It's just the reality of how things work. So you would have done this before, or if you haven't, you've probably heard about it. I've definitely done it a bunch of times. You see the thing, you're like, hey, I like this creator. I'll go check out their free thing. You get their free thing, but of course, what do you have to do to get their free thing? You have to give them your email address and tick the little join my mailing list box. You're then in their mailing list. Now, what happens from there usually is you'll go into their sales funnel, which means you'll get a welcome message. It'll usually be pretty low pressure. It'll be like, hey, Pete, welcome to the community. Great to have you here. I hope you enjoy the PDF. Here's your download link, buddy. Off you go. Enjoy. And then usually at the 3-day mark, or sometimes 7 days in, depends on the creator, you'll get another email that's like, hey, Pete, did you enjoy the book? You might be interested that I've got a sale running at the moment. For the next 7 days, 24 hours, whatever it is, you can get my mixing course that's usually $1,400 for just $197. Isn't that amazing value? Okay, fair enough. They always have to end in 7, by the way, in a sales funnel. For whatever reason, they always end in a 7. So you'd be like, oh, mate, no, maybe not. It doesn't end there. The sales funnel then sets it and goes, oh, Pete did not trigger and buy this course. You get an email 3 days later. We've got even better news. For the next 12 hours only, and for a limited number of people, only 1,000 people, you can actually get that course for $97. That's a 1,400% saving on the value. And you're like, ooh, that's actually getting pretty tempting now. $97 for $1,400 worth of mixing course. Where do I sign up? So yeah, you may then go and buy it, or if you don't, then yeah, the last one is often the Hail Mary attempt, where it's like, for the next 1 hour, $47, Pete. Come on, $47, son, as if you're not buying it for $47. Again, some people may buy, some won't. Why do I not like this? Well, I'm not a big fan of the disingenuous nature of this sort of sales funnel. I don't love the fact that it's never going to be sold for $1,400. That's just not true. It's clearly not a factor. It's clearly not limited because it's a digital product. And the false scarcity of digital products used to create FOMO, the fear of missing out, really annoys me, because people should be allowed to make a considered decision. So I say all of this, and I wanted to mention this about sales funnels, not to poo-poo the people that use them, because more power to you. If you are creating a good quality product and you think by using this methodology to discount it to a level is going to make people feel good about the purchase that they've made, great. But too often I see people make these purchase decisions on the spur of the moment because they think something's going to end, they think time is limited, they think time's going to run out, and they just make a decision to buy it. I'm going to ask you to not do that, only because it's never actually scarce. And even if you don't buy it at that time, if the creator's worth their weight and you email them a month later and say, hey, I missed out on your special introductory launch price of your course, are they going to say no to selling it to you for the price? They've got a code. They'll give you a code. They'll let you buy it for the price. So please, if I could say one thing about this, it is that scarcity of digital products does not exist. Don't make a decision based on something running out or something being limited or being time limited because it's not actually true. What that is, it's a sales tactic to create that pressure, that FOMO, that fear of missing out, that if you don't do this thing right now, and again, like everything we talked about before, it's nothing new. It's why door-to-door salesmen do what they do. They want you to have the whole, no, you've got to do it now. It's why when you get a phone call from someone, they'll be like, oh, no, this offer's only available from me right now on the phone. If you don't accept it right now, you can't call back and accept it later. What are you talking about? That's crazy talk. All of that sort of stuff is absolute BS. Trust me, I have worked on every side of sales and marketing in a lot of different places, and it is done everywhere. I don't like it. And I don't do it now because I get to choose to. I get to run my own business. I can choose to do what I want. So I just wanted to say that as a precautionary thing, that if you're getting a good deal and you're happy with your good deal and you want to go ahead with it, pull the trigger. You do it right now. But don't ever think that you need to be forced into doing something based on the time bound or the limited scarcity of something that doesn't actually matter. There you go. So that's where it is. So we'll see if anyone's, Gmail's nice and sends that stuff to promotions. Exactly. And this is the thing, that a lot of folks will actually do that. Frixie says, I'm in procurement. I love seeing the sales mindset. It is interesting. I find it fascinating to look at how it actually works. Thomas says, this awesome course will self-destruct in 24 hours. Act now. Yeah, it's not actually going to be the case. So there you go. And it's always normal price is that if you decide now only $9.99. And it's worse. If you think it's bad in the music course world, in the self-help and get-rich-quick world and sort of business coach world, it is shocking. Like these shysters will say things like, oh, it's normal value is $4,997. Today only, in this webinar, only $197. And if you need to act now, though, because that price is only available for 50 people. That is not true. That is 100% false. That price is available for any sucker that wants to plonk down their 200 clams. And why do they have to end in a 7? I've made a pact with myself. I will never buy any digital product that ends in a 7. Just because they all do it, and I think it started because someone did it a 9, and then someone did an 8, and then someone did a 7, and they settled on that. They're like, okay, can we all agree that it's just 7 now? All right, we're cool? Okay, it's 7. Anyway, save your money, go watch more YouTube channels, and support people on Patreon. Support cool people like Jade Starr on Patreon. Support people like Thomas Christ when he does his live shows every week, and all sorts of other cool ways to use your hard-earned money to support people that are doing cool things. But yeah, thank you for listening to me rant about that one, and thank you for your time and attendance here today, because that is it. That is going to do it here for the Creator Town Hall for another week. I will put that poll out there. There's a couple of polls coming your way for the show next week for my happy hour. We're going to put to a vote. Do we do 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or noughties plus? That's going to be up to you to decide. And we will put the poll out to say, does this show move 2 hours earlier for the folks in the UK and Europe? If we get a majority rule that say yes or don't care, we'll move it. If we don't, we won't. So keep an eye out for those ones. Tomorrow, GarageBand Weekly here on the channel again, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, and 7 a.m. for those on the east coast of Australia. And next week, there'll be a link. As soon as I finish this show, it'll give you a link to set a reminder for next week's show, which is a bit of a belated 1-year anniversary. So we'll make it a 1-year anniversary of YML. We'll make it a 900, I wish, make it a 90,000 subscriber celebration. We'll have a bit of a party, and we'll have a special edition of YML that'll probably go for a bit longer than the 2 hours. Yes, happy Father's Day to everyone who's supporting it in the parts of the country where it's Father's Day. Happy winter and summer solstice. So enjoy the longest day of the year if you're up north. And for us down south, hey, it's the shortest day. It's only going to get longer from here. So enjoy that. Thanks everyone for being here. Please, as we say at the end of every show, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Keep creating, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.